There is a kind of pain that does not scream. It lingers. It hums quietly beneath your everyday thoughts. You go to work. You laugh with friends. You scroll through your phone. But still, in the silence, something aches. Not the pain of a broken bone, the pain of something missing. Most people run from this feeling. They label it as depression, anxiety, burnout. They search for relief in entertainment, in habits, in constant motion. But Carl Jung saw it differently. He believed that pain, especially the kind that keeps returning, is not an error. It is a message. It is the soul tapping at the door, begging you to turn around and listen. Jung once said, "Suffering is not a punishment, it is a result." What he meant is simple but terrifying. Pain is not there to punish you, but to teach you. When your life moves further away from your truth, your psyche reacts, not with logic, with symptoms, with unease, with that quiet, unexplainable sorrow. Pain is a signal, and like any signal, it has a source. The problem is that most people focus only on removing the symptom. They numb it, deny it, run from it. But the message remains unread, and so it returns again and again. Think about it. Why does your pain show up the same way? Why does it visit you when you're alone? Why does it grow stronger the more you try to pretend it isn't there? Because it's not random. It's your deepest self calling you back. Jung didn't believe healing came from escaping pain. He believed it came from descending into it, not as a victim, but as a seeker. Your pain is not senseless. It points to the part of you that was silenced long ago, the child that learned to stay quiet, the artist who stopped creating, the truth-teller who became a people-pleaser. That is where your pain lives, in the exile of your real self. And so instead of asking, "How do I stop hurting?" perhaps the better question is, what is this pain trying to reveal? This chapter is not about fixing you, because you are not broken. It is about awakening, about remembering. The ache in your chest is not a flaw. It is a compass. Carl Jung believed that all healing begins with self-awareness. But self-awareness begins with the willingness to feel, to stop numbing, to sit with the ache, to let it speak. Your pain is the path, not the obstacle, not the punishment, but the sacred trail that leads you home. And now that you've seen the first sign, will you walk forward or turn away again? You wake up every morning and move through the world wearing a face that is not quite yours. A smile crafted to avoid questions, a tone adjusted to avoid conflict, a posture shaped not by comfort but by expectation. Somewhere along the way, you stopped living and started performing. This mask you wear did not appear overnight. It was carefully molded through years of subtle messages. Be good, be smart, be strong, be quiet. Each command, each unspoken rule etched itself into your identity until you became a reflection of what others needed, not who you truly are. Carl Jung called this the persona. It is the part of you that adapts to society, and it is not inherently bad. Without it, we could not function in the world. But when the persona becomes the only face you know, you begin to lose sight of the self hidden beneath it. You start to confuse your role with your essence. You believe you are the job title, the relationship status, the achievements, the reputation. But late at night, when the applause stops and the audience disappears, you are left alone with a silence that echoes too loudly. And in that silence, if you dare to listen, you hear the voice of the forgotten self, the version of you that existed before the world told you who you should be. That voice is quiet, unsure, almost unfamiliar, but it is real, and it is yours. This disconnection between who you are and who you pretend to be is one of the deepest sources of suffering. Because no matter how convincing your performance, the soul knows. It knows when you are lying to yourself. It knows when you are smiling while dying inside. And the longer you ignore this dissonance, the more it shows up in your life. Through anxiety that has no cause. Through fatigue that rest cannot fix. Through sadness that cannot be named. These are the signs that your soul is suffocating beneath the mask. The tragedy is that most people never remove it. They live entire lives behind a persona that feels safe, but slowly eats away at their vitality. They become successful, admired, envied even. But inside, they feel hollow, like something is missing, because something is. What is missing is authenticity, not perfection, not happiness, but the raw, imperfect truth of who you really are when no one is watching. That version of you has scars, has doubts, has desires you have tried to suppress. But it is also the version of you capable of real connection, real creativity, real freedom. To take off the mask is terrifying, because it means risking rejection. It means being seen in your wholeness, not just your highlight reel. But it also means finally being free. Free to breathe, free to feel, free to stop pretending. Jung wrote that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, not who your parents wanted, not who society rewarded, but the self that lives underneath the mask. So the question is not whether you have a mask. You do. We all do. The real question is whether you are ready to take it off. Not all at once, not in front of everyone, but slowly, deliberately, with compassion. Because healing begins when you stop performing and start remembering. Remembering who you were before the world told you to be someone else. That self is not gone. It is waiting. And the moment you begin to return to it, the suffering that once controlled you starts to dissolve. There are parts of yourself you pretend do not exist. Thoughts you push away. Emotions you silence. Impulses you deny. You tell yourself they are not real, not important, not you, but they are. And the more you push them into the shadows, the more power they gain over you. Carl Jung called this the shadow. It is everything about yourself that you have repressed or disowned, not just the anger or jealousy, but also the vulnerability, the longing, the parts that do not fit your idea of who you should be. You think you are hiding these parts, but they are not hidden. They are driving, quietly, from the back seat of your life. They show up in your fears, your habits, your relationships. They shape your world without your permission. The scariest enemy is not the one outside you. It is the one you refuse to see inside you. Think of every time you lashed out unexpectedly, every time you sabotaged something good, every time you stayed in something that was slowly killing you. These are not random. They are symptoms of the shadow at work. The unconscious is not silent. It speaks, but it does not use words. It uses patterns, repetition, emotion. It uses discomfort to wake you up. You are not broken. You are being guided, but only if you choose to listen. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." That is not just philosophy. It is a warning. The anger you suppress becomes passive aggression. The desire you repress becomes resentment. The insecurity you deny becomes arrogance. These are not faults. They are fragments of the self begging to be integrated. Most people never face their shadow because it requires a level of courage they have never practiced. To face your shadow is to face your shame, your contradictions, your deepest wounds. But it is also the only way to reclaim your full self. The shadow is not evil. It is exiled. It is the part of your soul that was told it was unacceptable, and so it hid. But what hides does not die. It waits, and it wants to come home. This is not about perfection. It is about integration. To become whole, you must stop cutting yourself into pieces. You must welcome what you once rejected. You must look at what scares you and see it not as a monster, but as a message. This process is not linear. It is not clean. There will be days when you feel like you are falling apart, but those are the days you are coming together. To meet your shadow is to begin the real work of healing, not surface healing, not temporary relief, but transformation. And when you make peace with your darkness, you discover something profound. That the thing you feared the most was not your enemy. It was your key to freedom, to depth, to authenticity, and to a life that is finally your own. You have been told your entire life that you must take control of your future, of your emotions, of your destiny. And so you planned, predicted, perfected. You built walls, you calculated moves, you chased certainty. But despite all of it, chaos still found you. No matter how tightly you held on, life still unraveled. And in those moments when your plans crumbled, you felt afraid, exposed, powerless. Because deep down, you still believed you were supposed to be in control. Here's the truth. You are not in control, and you never were. This is not a failure. It is freedom. Nietzsche once wrote that to truly live is to embrace the unknown, not conquer it. The attempt to control every detail of your life is not strength. It is fear disguised as discipline. You avoid uncertainty because it threatens your ego. It reminds you that the world does not revolve around your schedule, your ideas, or your expectations. But that reminder is sacred. Surrender is not giving up. It is stepping into the flow of life. It is letting go of what you think should be and opening to what actually is. The tighter you grip, the more you suffer. When you demand that the world bend to your will, it will break you instead. But when you allow, when you trust, when you release the illusion of control, you begin to dance with life rather than wrestle it. The truth is, the most powerful people are not the ones who control everything. They are the ones who have learned how to respond, not react. They are deeply rooted, not because they never fall, but because they no longer fear the fall. There is a calm that only comes after chaos, a clarity that only follows surrender, and a strength that can only be born from softness. You do not need to predict every outcome. You do not need to fix every detail. Your value is not tied to your ability to hold it all together. Let go of the fantasy that life must go your way to be meaningful. Let go of the pressure to always have the answers. Let go of the mask that says, "I've got this," when you are falling apart inside. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is release, not as an act of defeat, but as an act of wisdom. This is not weakness. It is grace. It is depth. It is maturity. Control is comfortable, but it is not freedom. And if you are brave enough to surrender, you will discover something deeper than control. You will find peace. You keep asking why it hurts so much, why you feel lost, why, despite everything you've achieved, there is still a quiet emptiness that lingers. And every time pain knocks, you turn away. You distract yourself. You try to fix it. You label it. You numb it. You tell yourself it's just a phase. But pain is not the problem. Your fear of it is. Carl Jung believed that the source of your healing lies not in avoiding pain, but in walking straight into it. That's where the real transformation begins. So stop running. Your pain is not here to destroy you. It is here to guide you. Pain is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a signal. It is your soul tapping you on the shoulder, whispering that something inside you needs attention. Most people see pain as something to be fixed or medicated. But Jung saw pain as the beginning of self-realization. It is what cracks your surface so that light can enter. Think of the moments that changed you most. Were they moments of comfort, or were they moments of collapse? Pain peels back your defenses. It exposes what you've hidden. It shows you who you really are. The shadow you refuse to face becomes the very thing that holds you hostage. But when you walk into that shadow, not to fight it, but to understand it, something miraculous happens. The pain turns into power. This is not poetic exaggeration. This is psychological truth. The grief you carry, the anxiety that haunts you, the shame that silences you. They are not flaws. They are maps. They point you to the wounded places. And those places are not broken. They are waiting to be loved. The more you resist pain, the more you suffer. But when you turn toward it with courage, pain becomes your greatest teacher. It humbles you, refines you, expands you. You are not weak because you hurt. You are human. And the more willing you are to sit with your suffering, the more free you become. This is where the journey ends and begins. You can spend your life running in circles, avoiding discomfort, chasing highs, pretending you're fine. Or you can stop, breathe, turn around, and face what's been chasing you all along. Carl Jung once said, "The greatest and most important problems of life are all in a certain sense insoluble. They can never be solved, but only outgrown." That means healing doesn't always come with a neat resolution. It comes through evolution, through becoming someone larger than the wound. Your pain is not a mistake, it's a message. And if you're willing to listen, if you're willing to stop avoiding, stop hiding, stop pretending, you'll find something far more valuable than happiness. You'll find wholeness. Not the kind that looks good on the outside, but the kind that feels like home on the inside. Your pain is the path. Walk it. With your head held high, with your eyes wide open, with your heart finally free.